I'm Jessica Williams, a 42-year-old teacher, and 3 months ago, my husband Michael walked out of our home with nothing but a suitcase. And within hours, I found out he'd drained every cent from our accounts, including our son's $95,000 college fund. I was paralyzed, until my 12-year-old daughter Lily looked me in the eye and said, "Don't worry, Mom, I handled it." I didn't know what she meant, until the FBI got involved. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from. And truly, thank you for being here. I was grading third-grade math tests when I heard the suitcase wheels rolling across our hardwood floors upstairs. It was 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in our quiet Riverside, California home. Michael wasn't supposed to be back from the construction site for another 3 hours. The sound of drawers slamming made me look up from Tommy Henderson's multiplication worksheet. Something was wrong. Michael never came home early, and he definitely never made that much noise doing it. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time, my heart already starting to race. Our bedroom door was wide open, and what I saw inside made my world tilt sideways. Michael was throwing clothes into his navy blue suitcase, the one we'd bought for our honeymoon in Hawaii 18 years ago. Shirts, pants, underwear, all going in without any care for folding or organization. "What are you doing?" The words came out smaller than I intended. He didn't look up, didn't even pause in his frantic packing, just kept stuffing clothes into that suitcase like the house was on fire. "Michael, stop." I grabbed his arm, but he shrugged me off like I was a stranger. "Talk to me, what's happening?" Finally, he met my eyes, and what I saw there terrified me. Nothing. No guilt, no sadness, no regret. Just cold determination. "I'm leaving, Jess. Today." The room spun around me. This couldn't be real. Yesterday we'd discussed Jake's college applications over dinner. Yesterday he'd kissed my forehead and said goodnight. Yesterday I was a wife, not whatever I was becoming in this moment. Is there someone else? The question fell out of my mouth before I could stop it. Michael paused, a dress shirt halfway into the suitcase. For just a second, I thought I saw something flicker across his face. Then it was gone. This isn't about anyone else, Jess. This is about me needing to breathe again. But I knew. The way he wouldn't look at me properly, the way his phone had been face down for months, the late meetings that ran later and later. I'd been pushing down these suspicions for so long that they'd become background noise. But now they screamed at me. "Where will you go?" My voice sounded pathetic. "I'll figure it out." He zipped the suitcase with finality. "I need you to transfer my half of the savings to my personal account. I'll send you the details." That's when the real panic set in. Money, Jake's college fund, our joint accounts, everything we'd built together over 18 years of marriage. I ran downstairs, my bare feet slapping against the hardwood floors. Lily looked up from her after-school snack, concern creasing her 12-year-old face. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Nothing, sweetheart. Dad's just going on a trip." The lie tasted bitter. I grabbed my laptop from the kitchen counter and logged into our bank account with shaking fingers. The page loaded, and I stared at the screen in disbelief. Our checking account showed $150,47. Our savings account, which should have had $89,000, showed $0. Jake's college fund, the one we'd been feeding for 17 years, the one that should have had $95,000 in it, showed $0. "No." The word came out as a whisper. "No, no, no." I refreshed the page. The numbers didn't change. I checked the transaction history. 3 days ago, while I was at the school district meeting, Michael had transferred everything, not just his half, not just our shared money, but Jake's future too. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. I called the bank, praying this was some kind of mistake. The customer service representative confirmed what I already knew, but couldn't accept. Michael had full access to all accounts. The transfers were legitimate. "Mom?" Lily's voice seemed to come from far away. "You're scaring me." I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She was still in her school uniform, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, her backpack ready by the door. She had no idea that her father had just stolen her brother's future and walked away. The sound of footsteps on the stairs made us both turn. Michael appeared, dragging his suitcase behind him. He walked past us like we were furniture, heading straight for the front door. "That's it," I found my voice, and it was stronger than I expected. 18 years and you're just walking away? He stopped with his hand on the doorknob. I left you a voicemail explaining everything. I don't want a voicemail. I want you to look at your daughter and explain why you're abandoning her. Lily stood up slowly from the kitchen table. She didn't cry, didn't run to him, didn't beg him to stay. She just watched him with those intelligent blue eyes that were so much like his. Michael glanced at Lily for maybe 3 seconds. You'll understand when you're older, he said to her. Then he looked at me. Don't make this harder than it has to be. The door closed behind him with a quiet click that somehow sounded louder than if he'd slammed it. Lily and I stood in the sudden silence of our kitchen. The coffee maker gurgled. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a car engine started and pulled away. Is he coming back? Lily asked. I wanted to lie, to protect her, to say that Daddy just needed some time. But looking at her face, I realized she already knew the answer. I don't think so, baby. She nodded, processing this information the way she processed everything else in her life, with careful consideration. Did he take our money? The question caught me off guard. How could she know to ask that? Some of it, I said carefully. Jake's college fund too? I couldn't speak. I just nodded. Lily picked up her juice glass and walked it to the sink. She rinsed it out, dried it, and put it away in the cabinet. Then she turned to me with an expression I'd never seen before on her young face. Mom, don't worry, I handled it. The words were so unexpected, so calmly delivered, that I almost laughed. Handled what? She was 12 years old. What could she possibly have handled? But something in her tone made me pause. There was no childish bravado, no empty comfort, just quiet confidence, like she knew something I didn't. What do you mean, sweetheart? Lily picked up her backpack and headed toward the door. I'll miss the bus if I don't leave now. We'll talk after school, okay? And then she was gone, leaving me alone in a house that suddenly felt enormous and empty, with questions I couldn't answer and a future I couldn't see. Jake came home from basketball practice around 6, his 17-year-old frame filling the doorway as he dropped his gym bag with a loud thud. Where's Dad's truck? He asked, opening the refrigerator. I'd been dreading this moment all afternoon. Jake, sit down. We need to talk. Something in my voice made him close the fridge door and look at me directly. What's wrong? Your father left today. He's not coming back. Jake's face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, then anger. What do you mean he left? I told him everything. About the packing, the cold goodbye, the empty bank accounts. With each detail, Jake's face grew darker. He stole my college money, Jake's voice cracked with rage. Mom, we have to call the police. This is theft. Honey, it's more complicated than that. His name was on all the accounts. I don't care. Jake slammed his hand on the kitchen counter. He can't just take everything and disappear. What am I supposed to do about college now? Before I could answer, Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway. She'd been so quiet I hadn't heard her come home. Jake, she said calmly, sit down. Mom's right, it's complicated, but not in the way you think. There was something in her tone that made Jake actually sit down. Even at 12, Lily had always been able to command attention when she wanted to. What do you mean? Jake asked. I mean, Dad didn't just take our money and disappear. He took it for a reason, and that reason is going to destroy him. I stared at my daughter. Lily, what are you talking about? She pulled out a chair and sat down like she was about to conduct a business meeting. Dad has a girlfriend. Her name is Amanda Chen. She works at his company as the head accountant. They've been planning this for months. The kitchen fell silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. How could you possibly know that? I whispered. Because I've been watching him. The house felt different that first week without Michael. Not just empty, but watchful somehow. I found myself crying at random moments, folding his abandoned laundry, seeing his coffee mug still in the dishwasher, hearing Jake's alarm clock through the walls each morning, knowing my son was waking up to a future that had been stolen from him. But Lily, she moved through our shattered world like nothing had changed. Every morning at 7:15, she'd appear in the kitchen fully dressed, backpack organized, lunch packed. She'd kiss my cheek and say, "Have a good day, Mom," in the same cheerful tone she'd used when we were still a complete family. It was unsettling. Are you okay, sweetheart? I asked her one morning, catching her wrist gently as she headed for the door. She looked at me with those serious blue eyes. I'm fine, Mom. Are you? I wasn't fine. I was falling apart piece by piece. But I couldn't tell her that. Just checking on you. I know. She squeezed my hand. But I'm really okay. That evening, I decided to call my sister Karen for advice. As I dialed, I could hear Lily upstairs in her room. The sound drifted down through the floorboards, rapid clicking, like she was typing frantically. I assumed she was chatting with friends about the situation, maybe processing her feelings online the way kids do now. Jessica, how are you holding up? Karen's voice was warm with concern. I don't know, I admitted, sinking onto the couch. Lily's being so strong, but I'm worried she's bottling everything up. She hasn't cried once. Some kids process differently. Remember when Dad left? You cried for weeks, but I got angry and broke Mom's favorite vase. The clicking upstairs stopped suddenly, then resumed with even more intensity. What's that sound? Karen asked. Lily's on her computer, probably homework or games. But even as I said it, something nagged at me. The rhythm was too consistent, too purposeful for games. After I hung up with Karen, I made Lily's favorite dinner, grilled cheese and tomato soup. I knocked on her door around 6:30. Come in, she called. I pushed the door open, carrying her dinner tray. Lily was sitting at her desk, her laptop screen angled away from me. She closed it quickly when I entered. Brought you some food, honey. Thanks, Mom. She took the tray without making eye contact. You can set it on my nightstand. As I placed the tray down, I glanced at her desk. Scattered papers, her school planner, a few textbooks. Nothing unusual. But there was something deliberate about how she'd positioned everything, like she'd arranged it specifically for my visit. What were you working on? I asked casually. History report on the Industrial Revolution. She opened her laptop again, but I caught a glimpse of the screen before she minimized whatever she'd been viewing. It looked like an email program, not a school document. Need any help? I'm good. Thanks for dinner. I was dismissed. Politely, but firmly. I kissed the top of her head and left. But the uneasy feeling lingered. Over the next few days, the pattern continued. Lily maintained her perfect routine while I spiraled deeper into confusion and grief. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with panic attacks, checking our bank accounts obsessively, calling Michael's number just to hear his voicemail. Meanwhile, Lily would emerge each morning looking rested and composed. The typing continued every night. Sometimes it went on until nearly midnight. Friday evening, I was putting away Lily's clean laundry when I saw it. A single sheet of paper on her desk, partially hidden under her science textbook. I shouldn't have looked, but something about the formatting caught my eye. It was a printed email thread. The names at the top made my blood freeze. Michael and Amanda. My hands shook as I pulled the paper out. The messages were dated from 6 weeks ago, before Michael left. They were discussing meeting times, hotel reservations, and something about handling Jessica when the time comes. I sat down hard on Lily's bed, staring at the evidence in my hands. My 12-year-old daughter had somehow accessed her father's private emails. How was that even possible? Mom! Lily's voice from the doorway made me jump. She stood there holding her empty dinner plate, looking at me with those calm, assessing eyes. No panic, no embarrassment at being caught, just quiet observation. Lily, where did this come from? She set her plate down and closed her bedroom door behind her. Dad's not very good with passwords. How did you? I started, then stopped. How long have you known about Amanda? 8 weeks. About the money. I figured that out the day before he left. 8 weeks. While I'd been blissfully unaware, my child had been living with this knowledge. I felt sick. Why didn't you tell me? Lily sat beside me on the bed, suddenly looking more like the 12-year-old she actually was. I wanted to be sure, and I wanted to figure out what to do about it. Honey, this isn't your responsibility. Yes, it is. Her voice was firm. He stole Jake's college fund. He lied to both of us. Someone had to do something. I looked around her room with new eyes. Everything seemed different now. Her organized desk, her careful routine, her unnatural calm. What else do you know? Lily got up and pulled a spiral notebook from under her mattress. She handed it to me without hesitation. The pages were filled with handwritten notes, printed screenshots, diagrams I couldn't understand, and lists of numbers that might have been phone numbers or account information. Lily, what is all this? Research. She sat back down beside me. Dad thinks he's smart, but he's careless. He uses the same password for everything. He doesn't clear his browser history. He doesn't even log out of his accounts when he's done. I flipped through page after page of meticulous documentation. Financial records, text message screenshots, what looked like travel itineraries. My daughter had been conducting surveillance on her own father. I struggled for words. This is incredible and terrifying. I learned most of it from YouTube tutorials. Computer security is really interesting once you understand the basics. Lily, this kind of thing, hacking into someone's accounts, it's not legal. She looked at me with an expression far too mature for her age. Neither is stealing $95,000 from your son's college fund. The matter-of-fact way she said it sent chills down my spine. This wasn't my little girl anymore. This was someone I'd never met before. Someone calculating and focused and completely unafraid. What are you planning to do with all this information? Lily took the notebook back and closed it carefully. I'm still working on that part, but don't worry, Mom. I've got this handled. There was that phrase again. The same words she'd said that morning when her father walked out of our lives. But now they carried a weight that made me realize I might not know my own daughter at all. Show me everything, I said, my voice barely steady. Lily hesitated for the first time since this nightmare began. Mom, some of it's pretty bad. Show me. She opened her laptop and pulled up a folder labeled Science Fair Project. Inside were dozens of subfolders with names like financial records, communication logs, and identity theft evidence. My stomach clenched. It started with Dad's second phone, Lily said, clicking on a folder. He thought he hid it in his closet, but I saw him checking it one night when he thought I was asleep. The screen filled with photographs Lily had taken through Michael's bedroom door. Blurry, but clear enough to show him texting on a device I'd never seen before. I waited until he left it, charging in his office one day. I only had maybe 10 minutes, but I got into his messages. Lily's fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. A new window opened, filled with screenshot after screenshot of text conversations. My husband's words to another woman, talking about me like I was an obstacle to remove, planning their future together, discussing how to handle the Jessica situation without losing too much money in a divorce. I felt like I might throw up. But it gets worse, Mom. Lily clicked to another folder. Amanda Chen works at Dad's company as head accountant. She handles client investments and trust accounts. You found out where she works? I found out everything about her. Address, family, work history, credit score, even her Netflix password. Lily's voice was matter-of-fact, like she was discussing a school assignment. She's been stealing money from her clients for 3 years. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank transfer records showing money moving from client accounts into personal ones. Fake invoices for services never provided. Investment statements that didn't match actual account balances. Lily had somehow accessed Amanda's work computer and documented everything. Lily, how did you even get into their systems? Amanda uses the same password for everything, Sophie 2008. That's her daughter's name and birth year. I found that information on her Facebook profile. Lily shrugged like it was obvious. People are really predictable with passwords. I stared at my daughter, this stranger sitting beside me. But how did you learn to do all this? YouTube, mostly, and some computer programming forums. There's a lot of information out there if you know how to look for it. She clicked to yet another folder, and my world tilted sideways again. Bank statements with my name on them, but accounts I'd never opened. Credit applications filed under Jake's social security number. Loan documents signed with forged signatures. Mom, Dad didn't just take our money. He's been using our identities to get loans. The $95,000 from Jake's college fund, that was just the down payment on a $200,000 loan he took out in Jake's name. What? The word came out as a whisper. He and Amanda are buying a house together in San Diego. They used Jake's credit history and your employment information to secure the mortgage. Lily's jaw tightened. They were going to disappear and leave us holding the debt. The room spun around me. Identity theft, fraud. My husband hadn't just abandoned us. He'd systematically destroyed our financial future to build a new life with his mistress. But here's the thing, Lily continued, and I heard something new in her voice, something cold and satisfied. I caught them before they could complete the purchase. She opened another folder labeled Countermeasures. Inside were dozens of official-looking documents, fraud reports filed with credit agencies, complaints submitted to banking authorities, anonymous tips sent to Amanda's employer. I've been working on this for 4 weeks, Lily explained. I documented everything first. Then I started dismantling their plans piece by piece. What do you mean? Well, Amanda got suspended from work yesterday. Her boss received an anonymous email with all the evidence of her embezzlement. Her clients are pulling their accounts. The state board is launching an investigation. My mouth fell open. You did that? She stole money from elderly people saving for retirement, Mom. She deserved it. Lily's voice was steady, righteous. And that's just the beginning. She showed me more files. Credit agencies had frozen the fraudulent accounts opened in our names. The mortgage application for the San Diego house had been flagged and denied. Amanda's landlord had received a tip about illegal activity in her apartment and started eviction proceedings. But the best part, Lily said, clicking to a final folder, is what I sent to her father. Her father? Dr. Robert Chen. He's a prominent surgeon who's very concerned about his family's reputation. He received a very detailed letter about his daughter's criminal activities, along with copies of all the evidence. I felt dizzy. Lily, what have you done? I've protected us. She closed the laptop and looked at me directly. Dad thought he could steal from us and walk away clean. He thought we'd be too broken and stupid to fight back. He was wrong. But sweetheart, this kind of thing, going after people like this, it's dangerous. More dangerous than letting them destroy our lives? Lily stood up and walked to her window, looking out at the darkening sky. Mom, they didn't just take our money. They took Jake's future. They took your security. They took everything we worked for and gave it to themselves. I watched my 12-year-old daughter, her small frame silhouetted against the window, and realized she was right. While I'd been crying and calling Michael's voicemail, begging him to come home, Lily had been fighting for us. What happens now? I asked. Lily turned back to me, and in the dim light of her room, she looked older than her years. Now we wait. Amanda's world is falling apart, and she doesn't even know why yet. When Dad realizes what's happening, he'll panic. And when people panic, they make mistakes. How can you be so calm about all this? Because I'm not the one who has to be scared anymore, she said simply. They are. That night, I lay awake thinking about the child sleeping down the hall. She'd saved us, but at what cost? What kind of person had my daughter become in the process? And more frightening still, what else was she capable of? Around midnight, I heard it again, the soft clicking of computer keys, steady and determined. Lily was still working, still planning, still protecting us in ways I couldn't fully understand. I should have felt grateful. Instead, I felt afraid. The phone rang at exactly 2:15 on a Thursday afternoon. I was in the kitchen washing lunch dishes when Michael's name flashed across the screen. My hands were still soapy when I fumbled for the phone, my heart racing for reasons I couldn't explain. Hello? My voice came out smaller than I intended. Jessica. Michael's voice was different, strained, almost desperate. We need to talk. Something very strange is happening. I dried my hands on a dish towel, glancing toward the living room where Lily was supposedly doing homework. What kind of strange? My bank called this morning. All my accounts have been flagged for suspicious activity. They've frozen everything pending some kind of federal review. His words came out rushed, panicked. And Amanda, Jessica. Amanda lost her job yesterday. Security escorted her out of the building. Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, still wearing her school uniform. She walked calmly to the counter and poured herself a glass of water, but I noticed she was listening intently. I don't understand what that has to do with me, I said to Michael. It's too much of a coincidence. First, Amanda gets fired for some bogus embezzlement claim. Now my finances are under investigation. Someone's targeting us, Jessica. Someone with serious technical skills. Lily set her glass down and moved to the kitchen table, opening her laptop with practiced ease. She typed something quickly, and I saw her screen light up with what looked like multiple windows and data streams. Who would do something like that? I asked, though my stomach was already turning with suspicion. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Amanda thinks it might be someone from her office, maybe a coworker she rejected, or... Michael stopped talking suddenly. What was that sound? I looked at Lily. She'd clicked something on her laptop, and a soft chime had echoed through the phone connection. What sound? I asked. There was a beep, like someone just accessed my email. Mark's voice shifted to pure alarm. Jessica, someone's in my computer right now. I can see my email opening and closing in real time. Someone's reading my messages while we're talking. Lily's fingers moved across her keyboard with the fluid precision of a concert pianist. Her screen showed what appeared to be email interfaces, financial documents, and streaming data. She was inside his system, watching everything he did, reading everything he accessed. Michael, maybe you should hang up and call your bank. No, wait. I need to ask you something directly. His voice turned suspicious. Jessica, did you hire someone? A private investigator or computer expert? Because if you did, you need to call them off right now. What they're doing is illegal. Lily looked up from her laptop and met my eyes. She gave me the slightest shake of her head, then returned to her screen. I didn't hire anyone, I said truthfully. Then who? Michael's voice cut off, replaced by frantic typing sounds on his end. Someone just sent an email from my account to my boss. Jessica, they're impersonating me right now. What did the email say? I don't know. Everything's happening too fast. His breathing became audible through the phone. They're in my social media accounts now. They're posting things, financial documents, private messages between me and Amanda. Lily minimized one window and opened another. I caught a glimpse of what looked like social media profiles and document uploads before she angled the screen away from me. Michael, you need to contact the police. If someone's hacking your accounts. You think I haven't tried? The police said that if the information being posted is true, then it's not harassment. It's whistleblowing. But how would anyone have access to true financial documents unless they were... He stopped. Unless they were inside my actual accounts. The realization was hitting him. Someone wasn't posting fake information about him. Someone was posting real evidence of his crimes. Jessica, I need you to understand something. The money I took, I was planning to pay it back. Amanda and I were going to make it work, and then I was going to quietly replace everything. Nobody was supposed to get hurt. But you did take it, temporarily, as a loan. Amanda had this investment opportunity that was guaranteed to double our money within 6 months. His voice was becoming more desperate with each word. We were going to surprise you and the kids with even more money than what was originally there. Lily looked up from her laptop again, and I saw something in her expression I'd never seen before. Not anger, not hurt, but cold calculation. She was listening to her father spin lies about stealing from his own family, and she was taking notes. Michael, that's not how loans work. You can't take someone else's money without their permission and call it a loan. You don't understand the pressure I was under. Amanda's father was threatening to cut her off financially if she didn't prove she could support herself. She needed that money to buy the house, to show him she was serious about building a future. So you stole our son's college fund to impress your girlfriend's father? It wasn't stealing, Michael's voice cracked. It was an investment in all of our futures. Amanda's family has connections. Once her father accepted her choices, he was going to help me start my own firm. We would have been wealthy, Jessica. Wealthy enough to pay for Jake's college 10 times over. Lily closed her laptop with a quiet snap and stood up. She walked to where I was standing and gently took the phone from my hand. Hi, Dad. Her voice was perfectly calm. Lily, sweetheart, thank God, Lily, someone is doing terrible things to me and Amanda. They're making us look like criminals. You have to tell your mother that I would never steal from you. Never. But you did steal from me. Lily's tone remained conversational, like she was discussing the weather. You took $95,000 from Jake's college account and used it as collateral for a mortgage application in San Diego. The silence on Michael's end stretched for nearly 10 seconds. Lily, who told you that? Nobody told me. I found out myself, along with copies of the forged loan documents where you used Jake's social security number to secure additional credit. That's impossible. You're 12 years old. You couldn't possibly understand. I understand that you committed identity theft. I understand that Amanda embezzled money from her clients. I understand that you both plan to disappear to San Diego and leave Mom and Jake responsible for the debt you created. Lily, listen to me very carefully. Adults sometimes make complicated financial decisions that children can't fully grasp. What looks wrong to you might actually be... I have copies of everything, Dad. Every email between you and Amanda. Every forged document. Every illegal transaction. I've been watching you for weeks. Michael's breathing became labored. You've been watching me, Lily. What does that mean? It means I know about the second phone you thought you hid so well. I know about the fake investment accounts Amanda created to hide the money she stole. I know about the house you tried to buy using Jake's identity. Lily's voice never wavered. And I know that when the money ran out and Amanda got fired, she stopped returning your calls. How could you possibly know about Amanda not returning my calls? Because I'm monitoring all your communications. I've been watching both of you destroy yourselves piece by piece. Lily sat down at the kitchen table, still holding the phone with complete composure. Amanda blocked your number yesterday after her father cut her off financially. She's already started dating someone else. The sound that came through the phone was somewhere between a sob and a scream. Lily, please. I know I made mistakes, but I'm still your father. I love you. I love your mother. I never meant for things to go this far. You chose her over us, Dad. You chose money over your family. You chose to steal Jake's future to pay for your new life. Lily's voice remained steady, factual. Actions have consequences. You taught me that when you walked out of our house with your suitcase. I'm begging you. Whatever you've done, whatever you know, please just stop. I have nothing left. I'm living in my car because I can't pass a credit check to rent an apartment. I can't get a job because every background check shows financial fraud flags. Please. Lily looked at me as she spoke her final words to her father. You taught me something important, Dad. You taught me that the people who are supposed to protect you sometimes don't. So you have to protect yourself. And with that, she hung up the phone. The silence that followed was deafening. Lily set the phone on the counter and looked at me with those calm, serious eyes. He won't call back, she said, matter-of-factly. How do you know? Because now he knows I'm watching. And he knows that every move he makes, I'll see coming. She picked up her laptop and headed toward her room. I have homework to finish. I stood alone in my kitchen, finally understanding that my 12-year-old daughter had just systematically dismantled a grown man's entire life, and that he deserved every second of it. 6 months later, I was shelving books in the children's section of Riverside Community Library when my supervisor approached with a nervous expression. Jessica, there's a reporter here asking about your daughter, Linda whispered, glancing toward the front desk where a woman in a press suit waited with a notepad. My heart stopped. What kind of reporter? She says she's investigating the Amanda Chen embezzlement case. Apparently, someone tipped her off that the anonymous whistleblower might be connected to our area. I walked to the front desk on unsteady legs. The reporter smiled professionally and extended her hand. Mrs. Williams, I'm Jennifer Walsh from Channel 7 News. I'm doing a follow-up story on the Chen financial fraud scandal. I understand your ex-husband was involved. I can't comment on that, I said quickly. The story has gained national attention. Amanda Chen is facing federal charges, and several other victims have come forward. Someone was incredibly thorough in documenting the crimes. We'd love to thank whoever provided the evidence. After she left, I drove home to our small apartment across town, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Lily was at the kitchen table doing homework when I walked in. There was a reporter at the library today asking about the Amanda Chen case, I said carefully. Lily didn't look up from her math worksheet. They'll never connect it to me. I use 7 different proxy servers and cryptocurrency payments for all the anonymous accounts. Lily, it's fine, Mom. She finished a problem and moved to the next one. The more attention the case gets, the more other victims will come forward. The casual way she discussed her nationwide impact on financial crime investigations still caught me off guard. I've been monitoring the news coverage. 15 other families have contacted authorities about Amanda's fraudulent investment schemes. My daughter had triggered a federal investigation that was now protecting dozens of families, and she talked about it like a successful science project. 3 weeks later, Lily received an email that changed everything. A technology company called Secure Family had somehow identified her real identity and wanted to offer her a position in their youth development program. They're offering me a full scholarship to any college I want, plus a guaranteed job after graduation, Lily explained, showing me the official letter on her laptop. Starting salary would be $125,000 a year. I stared at the numbers on the screen. Lily, this is incredible. This could set you up for life. I know, she closed the laptop without hesitation. I'm turning it down. What? Why? Because they want to own what I create. They want me to build security software that makes money off people's fear instead of actually protecting them. She stood up and walked to the window of our small living room. Besides, I already have a job. What do you mean? Lily pulled out a business card from her backpack. It looked professionally designed. L. Williams, Family Financial Protection Consultant. I've been helping families secure their finances and recover from fraud for the past month. I have 8 regular clients now, and they pay me $85 an hour for consultations. I took the card, studying the crisp design and professional contact information. Lily, you're 13 years old. How are you running a consulting business? Age doesn't matter when you're working online. My clients think I'm an adult cybersecurity expert with a specialty in family protection. She pulled up a spreadsheet on her laptop showing her income. I've made enough to replace most of Jake's college fund already. The numbers were staggering. In just 1 month, my teenage daughter had earned more than I made in 4 months at the library. What kind of services do you provide? I help families identify financial red flags, secure their digital accounts, and recover stolen money. Last week, I helped a family in Ohio get back $45,000 their son had stolen from his grandmother's retirement account. Is it legal? Everything I do is completely legal. I teach people how to protect themselves and help them file appropriate reports with authorities when crimes have been committed. Lily minimized the spreadsheet. I'm also speaking at a cybersecurity conference next month. As yourself. As L. Williams, Family Protection Specialist. I'll participate via encrypted video conference, so my age won't be an issue. That evening, I found myself reading about the Amanda Chen case online. The story had indeed gone viral, shared across multiple social media platforms, and covered by national news outlets. The comments ranged from outrage about the fraud to praise for the anonymous hero who'd exposed the scheme. One comment thread caught my attention. Dozens of people sharing their own experiences with family financial betrayal. Parents stealing from children, spouses hiding assets, relatives exploiting elderly family members. Lily's actions had opened a floodgate of similar stories. Nobody suspected the whistleblower was a 12-year-old girl. 2 months into our new life, Lily asked me a question that stopped me cold. Mom, do you think Dad ever regrets what he did? We were washing dishes together after dinner, and I nearly dropped the plate I was holding. It was the first time she'd mentioned Michael in weeks. I don't know, sweetheart. Why do you ask? I've been monitoring his social media accounts. He posts about starting over and making better choices, but he never mentions us. She dried a glass with careful precision. I was wondering if he realizes what he lost. What do you think? Lily considered this for a long moment. I think regret is just feeling sorry for yourself when you face consequences. It's not the same as understanding why what you did was wrong. Do you want him to regret it? No, I want him to understand it. But I don't think he's capable of that level of self-awareness. She folded the dish towel neatly and hung it on its hook. The conversation was clearly over for her, filed away like everything else related to her father. Spring arrived with a warmth that felt like hope. Lily's consulting business continued to grow, and she'd started creating free educational resources for families to protect themselves from financial fraud. She developed security checklists, warning sign guides, and step-by-step instructions for reporting different types of financial crimes. I want to turn this into a nonprofit when I turn 18, she told me one evening while working on her latest project, something that provides free protection services to families who can't afford private consultants. That's a beautiful goal, Lily. It started because of what Dad did to us, but it's become something bigger. There are so many families out there being victimized by people they trust. One evening in late spring, I was reading in the living room when I heard Lily on a video call in her room. I paused outside her door, listening to her gentle voice. I know it's scary discovering that your mother has been using your college fund, she was saying. But you're going to be okay. I'm going to help you protect what's left and make sure this doesn't happen again. I realized she was talking to another teenager, probably someone whose family was being destroyed the same way ours had been. Lily had become a lifeline for children whose parents had betrayed them. The most important thing to remember, Lily continued, is that this isn't your fault. Adults are supposed to protect children, not steal from them. When they don't do their job, we have to protect ourselves. I walked away from her door with tears in my eyes. Not from sadness, but from overwhelming pride. Michael had tried to break us, but instead he'd forged something unbreakable. Lily had transformed her pain into purpose, her trauma into a mission to protect other families. The next morning, Lily appeared at breakfast looking like any other 8th grader, but I knew better now. Underneath that normal teenage exterior was someone extraordinary, someone who'd taken the worst thing that had ever happened to her and turned it into a force for good. "Ready for school?" I asked, kissing her forehead. "Always," she said, shouldering her backpack. "Oh, and Mom? I love you. I love you too, sweetheart." As I watched her walk to the bus stop, I realized that Michael's betrayal hadn't destroyed our family. It had revealed what we were truly made of. Lily had won more than justice. She'd won her future and was using it to secure the futures of countless other families. Michael could keep his new life, whatever remained of it. We'd built something infinitely more valuable from the pieces he'd left behind. We'd built hope, and Lily was sharing it with the world. Jake came home from school that afternoon with a thick envelope in his hands and a grin splitting his face. "Mom, Lily," he called out. "You're not going to believe this." I looked up from my laptop where I'd been working on lesson plans. Lily emerged from her room, curious about her brother's excitement. "What is it?" I asked. "Stanford," Jake said, waving the envelope. "Full ride. Academic scholarship plus need-based aid. They want me for their engineering program." I felt my knees go weak. "Jake, that's incredible." "There's more," he continued, pulling out additional letters. MIT, UC Berkeley, and Carnegie Mellon all came through too. "I have my pick of schools, and I won't owe a dime." Lily smiled, the first genuinely happy expression I'd seen on her face in months. "I knew your grades and test scores would pay off." "It's not just that," Jake said, looking at both of us seriously. "I wrote my essay about what happened with Dad. About losing everything and watching my little sister fight back. About learning that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart." I started crying then, unable to hold back the relief and pride and overwhelming gratitude that my son would be okay, that his future wasn't stolen after all. "The admissions counselor at Stanford called yesterday," Jake continued. "She said my essay was one of the most powerful they'd ever received. She said stories like ours need to be told because they show other kids that they can survive anything." Lily's eyes brightened. "Did you tell them about the financial protection work?" I mentioned that my sister had become an advocate for other families going through similar situations. "I might have implied you were older than 13. "Good thinking," Lily said with a grin. That evening, we celebrated with pizza and Jake's favorite chocolate cake. For the first time since Michael left, our kitchen felt warm and full of laughter instead of empty and watchful. "You know what the crazy part is?" Jake said as we were cleaning up. "If Dad hadn't stolen from us, I probably would have just gone to the local state school. I never would have pushed myself to aim higher or written an essay that got me into these programs." "So you're saying his betrayal was actually a good thing?" I asked. "No," Jake said firmly. "What he did was terrible and selfish and wrong. But what we did with it, what Lily did with it, that's what matters. We didn't let him destroy us. We used his worst moment to create our best ones." Lily was quiet during this exchange, but I could see her processing Jake's words. Later, as I was tucking her in, a ritual she still allowed even at 13, she asked me something that showed how much she'd grown. "Mom, do you think I did the right thing, going after Dad and Amanda the way I did?" I considered my answer carefully. "I think you protected our family when I couldn't. I think you used your abilities to fight for justice when the system failed us. And I think you've turned your experience into something that helps other people. But I worry about the cost to you, about what it did to your childhood, your ability to trust people." Lily was quiet for a long moment. "I don't feel like I lost my childhood. I feel like I found my purpose. And as for trusting people," she looked at me with those serious blue eyes. "I trust you. I trust Jake. I trust that there are good people in the world worth protecting. I just also know that there are bad people who need to face consequences." "What about Dad? Do you think he's a bad person or just someone who made bad choices?" "I think he's someone who chose to be bad when it was convenient for him. And I think the world is safer when people like that face consequences for their actions." The wisdom in her words both impressed and saddened me. My 13-year-old daughter had developed a more sophisticated understanding of justice and morality than many adults ever achieve. 6 months after Jake's acceptance letters arrived, Lily was invited to speak at the National Conference on Family Financial Security. She'd grown her consulting business to include a team of adult experts who worked under her guidance, and her free educational resources had been downloaded over 1 million times. "I'm nervous," she admitted the morning of her presentation. "This is the first time I'll be speaking as myself, not hiding behind a screen name or encrypted connection." "You'll be wonderful," I assured her. "You're going to help so many families." Her presentation was titled, "When Children Become Protectors: A New Model for Family Financial Security." She spoke for 30 minutes to an audience of financial advisors, law enforcement officials, and child advocates about the warning signs of family financial abuse and the resources available to young victims. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, a woman approached us during the reception. She was in her 40s, well-dressed, with kind eyes that looked familiar. "Excuse me," she said to Lily. "I'm Dr. Sarah Martinez. I run a nonprofit that helps families recover from financial abuse. I wanted to thank you personally." "Thank me for what?" Lily asked. "Last year, my teenage son discovered that his father had been stealing from his college fund to support a gambling addiction. He found your educational materials online and used them to document everything. Because of your guidance, we were able to recover most of the money and get his father into treatment." Dr. Martinez's eyes filled with tears. "My son told me that reading your story made him feel less alone, that knowing another kid had faced something similar and fought back gave him the courage to speak up." I watched my daughter's face as she processed this information. For just a moment, I saw the child she still was underneath all that strength and determination. "I'm glad I could help," Lily said quietly. "You did more than help. You saved my family, and according to the letters I receive, you've saved dozens of others." That night, as we drove home from the conference, Lily was unusually quiet. "Penny, for your thoughts?" I asked. "I was just thinking about something Dr. Martinez said, about her son feeling less alone because of my story." "What about it?" "When Dad first left, I felt completely alone. Like we were the only family this had ever happened to. But now I know there are thousands of families going through the same thing." She looked out the window at the passing streetlights. "I guess I'm not creating resources just to help other people. I'm creating the support system I wish I'd had when everything fell apart." "Does that change how you feel about the work you're doing?" "It makes it feel more important. Like maybe Dad's betrayal wasn't completely meaningless if it led to something that helps other kids." 2 years later, Jake graduated summa cum laude from Stanford with a degree in computer engineering. Lily, now 15, had been accepted early admission to MIT with a full scholarship. Her nonprofit, Family Shield, had helped over 500 families recover stolen money and had trained thousands more to protect themselves from financial abuse. Michael had tried to contact us several times over the years, emails, letters, even showing up at Jake's high school graduation. We'd blocked him on all platforms and obtained a restraining order after the graduation incident. Lily still monitored his digital presence occasionally, more out of professional interest than personal emotion. "He started a blog about second chances and redemption," she told me one evening while working on her college application essays. "He still doesn't mention us specifically, but he talks about mistakes with family and hoping for forgiveness someday." "How does that make you feel?" I asked. Curious mostly, I wonder if he actually understands what he did wrong or if he just knows he's supposed to feel bad about it. She closed her laptop. "But it doesn't really matter anymore. We built a good life without him." She was right. We had built a good life. Jake was thriving in his engineering career and had started volunteering with at-risk youth. I'd been promoted to head librarian and had developed a program teaching digital literacy to seniors. And Lily had become exactly who she was meant to be. The night before she left for MIT, Lily and I sat on the front porch of our house. We'd been able to buy a real house with the money from her consulting work and the settlement from Amanda's Victims Compensation Fund. "Are you proud of who you've become?" I asked her. She considered the question seriously, as she did everything. "I'm proud of what we've become. What we built together after everything fell apart. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Dad hadn't left? If he hadn't stolen from us? Sometimes. But I think this version of our life is better. We're stronger, more honest with each other, We know what we're capable of when we have to be. She looked at me with those same serious blue eyes, now in a face that was becoming more adult every day. And we help people. That matters. Any regrets? Just one, she said with a small smile. I wish I could have figured out a way to make Dad understand what he lost when he chose to leave us. Not for his sake, but for closure. Maybe someday he will. Maybe. But I'm not waiting for his epiphany to live my life. As I watched my daughter, this remarkable young woman who'd saved our family and countless others, I realized that Michael's betrayal had been the worst thing that ever happened to us and the catalyst for the best things we'd ever achieved. He'd taught Lily that the people who are supposed to protect you sometimes don't. So she'd learned to protect herself, and then she dedicated her life to protecting others. In trying to destroy us, he'd forged us into something unbreakable, and we were grateful for that strength, even if we'd never be grateful for how we'd earned it. If this story of a 12-year-old's digital justice resonated with you, I hope it reminds you that families are defined not by who shares your DNA, but by who shows up when everything falls apart. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect us fail, but that doesn't mean we're powerless. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the most beautiful transformations. And sometimes justice comes from the most unexpected sources, like a 7th grader with a laptop and the courage to fight back.